All right. So we're going to do notes 53. It's just going to review functions, domain and range, and inequalities on a number line, and how they all fit together. All right, so determining if something is a function or not. Remember, a function, our x values must not repeat. Okay. When we write down domain and range, we order them from least to greatest. It's a function if all x inputs are different. So again, x's don't repeat. And on a graph, it should pass the vertical line test. So we're gonna look at each one of these, determine if they're a function or not. And if it asks us to, list the domain and range. All right, so if I'm wanting to know if it's a function, I'm gonna look at just my x values. And I'm gonna see, do any of them repeat the same number? No, they don't, so it passes. It is a function. So yes, it's a function. So now I'm gonna list my domains, all of my domains from least to greatest. Okay, so -1 is the smallest, then 2, then 3, then 8. Now I'm gonna list my ranges from least to greatest, and I'm not gonna repeat anything. So my ranges are 5, 5, 5, 5. So I'm not gonna repeat that 5 4 times. I'm just gonna put my range as 5. Okay, so domain is all of my input values, while range is all of my output values. So when we're looking at 2, is this a function? Well, I'm gonna look at my x's only, and I'm gonna see if there's any repeating x's. So I can see that this line, this 0 has 2 lines coming off of it, so that 0 is repeating to the 2 and to the 3. So this fails the test, and it is not a function because I have an x that repeats. Okay, number 3, on a graph, I use the vertical line test. If I draw a vertical line, can I draw it anywhere that hits that shape twice? Well, if I draw a vertical line here, it hits twice, right there and right there. That means it is not a function because it fails the vertical line test. All right, let's look and see if this one fails the vertical line test. Is there anywhere I can draw a vertical line that will hit 2 dots? Nope, they all only hit 1. So this is a function. All right, given f of x equals -5x plus 3, it says find the range, or find y, if domain, my x is 2. So remember, f of x is just another way to say y. And they're telling me if your x is 2. So in my calculator, I'm gonna plug in a 2 where the x was and put it in my calculator. So I want you to go ahead and do that now. All right, -5 times 2 is -10, plus 3 is -7. All right, number 6, it says, given f of x, remember that's a way to say y, equals -5x plus 8. If the domain, find the domain. So it wants me to find x. So I'm finding x when range is 38. So I want to find x when y is 38. All right, so now I have to solve. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and solve this and find out what our domain is. All right, so when we solve this, I would minus my 8 over. Now I have 30 equals -5x, divide by -5, and my domain, my x, is -6. All right, here's another way they might say it. Find h of -4 for function h with an m in it. Right here that's telling us I have function h with an m in it, and here's my function with an m in it. It wants us to take that same function, and everywhere there was an m, it wants me to put in a -4. So I'm going to put in parentheses, -4 squared minus parentheses -4 plus 3. So you notice I still have the minus in between, and my 4 is negative. So now put that in your calculator and give me an answer. Okay, number 8. Given the function with an h in it, here's my function with an h in it, find the domain if the range is these numbers. So domain is x, it wants me to find x, or in this case, h, if the range is these numbers. So I have to actually set up 4 equations. -4 equals 3h minus 7. I have to also set up 5 equals 3h minus 7, and we will set up 17 equals 3h minus 7. So on this one, we need to solve them all and set them equal, or put them in order from least to greatest. All right, so if I solve this one and move this one over, then I add 7, which gives me +3, so h is 1. So on this one, h is 1. If I add 7, that gives me 12 divided by 3, h is 4. If I add 7 over here, that gives me 24 divided by 3, h is 8. Then we put them in order from least to greatest. 1, 4, 8. All right, inequalities. X is greater than or equal to 2. Okay, the arrow continues one way to infinity. The variable is always on the left. So remember, our letter's on the left. Okay, so once letters is on the left, then this symbol tells me which way the arrow should go. So this should be a closed circle going to the right. Okay, the letter is on the left. This should be an open circle going to the right. Sorry, left. That's right. All right, so compound inequalities. Okay, when we have something that's stopping on two sides, we have two numbers involved, and it's everything in between. All right, so this one says that this stops at -2 and it stops at 3. So I would write that as x is in between -2 and 3. And since it does not equal either one, because there's not a closed circle, I would just put regular less thans. Okay, the arrows always go the same way. They always go less than. And I put my smallest number here and my largest number here. So -2 and 3. Or even if they have lines underneath, even if they're closed circles, I am still going to put less thans and my smallest number and my largest number. All right, so let's try number 1. Number 1 is closed circles, so they already have my less thans. My smallest number is -4, and my largest number is 4. Okay, so this is kind of like what we were doing yesterday on domain. We're measuring left and right. Okay, so this one is also measuring left and right. It has open circles, so it does not get the lines underneath. And my smallest number is -1, while my largest is 2. 3, I have a line under this one because it's closed, and I don't have a line under 4 because it's not. So I'm just going to put my lowest number is 1, greatest number is 4. All right, this one's a little bit trickier. I don't have 2 endpoints. I have 1 endpoint, and then I have an arrow going less than. So I can say that x is less than this number. Okay, so if I only have one endpoint, I'm not going to write it like this because this is telling me that I have two endpoints. I have an endpoint at -2 and I have an endpoint at 3. This is telling me I only have one endpoint and x is either less than or greater than that endpoint. Okay, range is measuring up and down. So on y, we're looking at how low to how high. All right, so this goes as low as +1 and as high as 6, and I can see they're both closed circles. Okay, this one, it goes as low as -1, as high as +4. They're both closed circles. This one only has one endpoint. So my number is easy. My number is 0, and y is everything greater than or equal to 0. This one is less than. I can see it's a less than. It's an open circle, so it doesn't get a line, and my important number is 3. Y is everything less than 3. So we're going to practice writing some inequalities. Okay, I can see this has two endpoints. It stops, so it is everything in between -2 and 3. It's horizontal, so this is an x, and it has a line under both inequalities because it is a filled-in circle. Okay, this one is measuring horizontally, so it is also an x, letter always on the left. It does not have two endpoints, so I'm going to see which way is the arrow going. It's going less, so I'm going to do less, and I only have one important number. X is everything less than 4. Okay, if I was going to graph this inequality, my important numbers are -2, and it's a closed circle, and +1, and it's an open circle, and I would just draw the line that shows everything in between those. Okay, number 11 and 12. This is vertical, so we're going to say it's y. I don't have two endpoints, I only have one endpoint, so this is greater than, because it's going up. 3 is my important number. But this one has two endpoints. I'm measuring the lowest to the highest. So in this case, I would have y in the middle. I would have two less thans. Neither one of them get a line underneath. My lowest point is 0, and my highest is 6. All right, so we're going to stop there.